Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Sunday, July 7th. No, July 6th. July 6th, 2025. Sorry, everyone. Skipping a day. Pride season continues in Canada. Can you believe this? I could totally believe this. It's ridiculous. Mark Carney gets booed at the Calgary Stampede, and I've got footage of it, and he can't flip a pancake, which obviously is not surprising at all because Mark Carney, when he wants a pancake, he orders his servants to get him a pancake. Angrily, mind you. USA, Elon's new party, and the big Texas floods. And we're going to talk about geoengineering. There's a whole bunch of people talking about geoengineering with regards to these floods and the camp, and it's horrific. I don't wish that on anybody. My goodness, what a horrible thing to have happen. Non-English, non-French ads on Canadian television. Of course, A&W, Rogers. Yes, I've got the ads for you. We'll talk about that today. Diddy trial cover-up. I often talk about Friday night news dumps, and Friday night news dumps apply on things like Christmas Eve and the first week of summer, because a lot of people leave, don't pay attention to the news, and then by the time they get back, the news cycle's moved on, something else has happened, and you just don't talk about that. So what happened? Well, Diddy's innocent on most things and has only been found guilty on one count. I hear there's more charges coming, but I think for all intents and purposes, they just Epstein listed the Diddy thing, and that doesn't mean they released it. That means, well, I guess they released him. So anyway, Diddy's not going to have to deal with any of that, I don't think, and we'll see how that flies, but most people don't even know, and if they did know, I think most people would shrug. New trade war coming from the USA. We're going to start there. EU exempts their industry from carbon tax. So Mark Carney doesn't have a leg to stand on to continue to have the Canadian industrial carbon tax. And $92 billion deficit, still no budget. Oh, and Canada, we're back. Okay, so there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, Rapid Response 47 is talking about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is not happy with the supply management. Donald Trump is targeting supply management in Canada, and Donald Trump is ready to destroy supply management in Canada with tariffs, just like he destroyed the digital service tax, the DST. That's what he's going to do with this. So here's Donald Trump talking about this. He's on, I think, Air Force One doing press questions and stuff. Here we go.
I did. I signed some letters. And they'll go out on Monday, probably 12. 12 different amounts of money, different amounts of tariffs, and somewhat different statements.
Mr. President, which countries will receive those letters on Monday?
You'll be announced. I have to announce it on Monday. I can't do it.
So the tariffs are coming Monday. He says different tariffs on different places depending on, the things that are different with each circumstance. The food professor is responding to this. He says the new law meant to protect supply management won't shield it from Trump, experts say, like the food professor. We knew that already. And he continues, Parliament can't save supply management. The real question is this: can Trump save Canadians from our Parliament's poor judgment? And to be clear, the blame goes to all parties, not just the Liberals. Yeah, well, all the parties work for the same master. The uniparty is who's governing the country. The Conservatives passed C5 with amendments, but the core of the bill is structured so oversight doesn't matter. And the wins that the Conservative got were amendments that brought oversight. But the oversight, if you violate the ethics laws in Canada, you get a slap on the wrist, $500 fine. What oversight have we had, period, up till now? So building in oversight into this bill is bullshit. It's nothing. It's a paper tiger win. It doesn't actually protect us. It just pretends to protect us while they continue doing all of the garbage nonsense that they've been wanting to do. They passed the throne speech. Why? If you don't think this government is legit, if you don't have the confidence in this government, why pass these things and then complain about it saying, we told you they were going to be terrible. You passed their bills. Morons. Table Salt's responding to this supply management issue and highlighting this news article from Tasha. She says Carney will have no choice but to kill supply management. We'll see. And Table Salt says, if Mark Carney kills supply management, Donald Trump will go down in history as the greatest prime minister Canada ever had. And it's not even close. He might already be there. Just for protecting Canadians from the digital service tax. Here's Canadian in Ontario highlighting Blanchette's response to this whole thing. He says, Mark Carney is just the same as Justin Trudeau, gives Donald Trump everything he wants. And otherwise, what Trump wants is sane and rational. And what Carney wants is communist insanity, I think. But here's Blanchette talking about all that.
In a negotiating strategy, it seems to be, well, I'm going to give you everything just so that we can continue to talk by pretending that we'll have an agreement in 19 days. If that happens, well, it may not be a wonderful agreement. So I get the impression that that Mr. Carney has borrowed Mr. Trudeau's spine. And we have a lot of questions to ask him. Unfortunately, in the fall, we will be asking, well, he will have to some questions. In a negotiating...
In the fall, we'll be asking some questions and he'll have to answer them. Super weak. But what does the government checkmarked Canada account post on, what is this, July 5th randomly? Amongst the news of trade wars and other issues that are compounding in Canada that are making life less affordable and worse for Canadians, the Canada account is focused on Pride season? Okay, weird. And Ellen Page. I don't know. It's Pride season and we're celebrating voices that inspire. Ellen Page, an actress, activist, and proud Canadian, has shown incredible courage in sharing her story and advocating for trans rights. Who else is inspiring you this Pride season? This is a distraction and a bad one, and it's shoving this ideology down our throats. Thankfully, Stephen Guilbeault comes in, who's the Minister of Heritage and Cultural Minister, Canadian Cultural Minister. And he says, there's no one way to be a Canadian, Cultural Minister Stephen Guilbeault says. Okay, so on Canada Day, they posted this, and they're watering down our national identity while promoting transgender identity. It's really, really noticeable and weird. And further on Canada Day, what did they do? Did they have a big Canadian flag flying on Parliament Hill on Canada Day? No, absolutely not. Did they have a giant Palestinian flag flying on Parliament Hill on Canada Day? Yes. Yes, they did. The real Mr. Bench says, how can the Liberal government of Canada say they support Canada when this is the kind of people they willingly encourage to come across our borders? On Canada Day, this was on Parliament Hill, so it's the... So yeah, we're being invaded, and that's not good. That's really bad. And on our national holiday celebrating Canada Day, the Parliament embraces a different country's flag. So Canada-Palestine Day, I guess. We have to share it or something like that. We have to share everything else, so why not that too? Let's talk about the budget, because the budget is still not forthcoming and Carney is not going to produce it, despite being lauded as, Canadian central banker, European central banker, British central banker, smartest guy in the room, can tear through any box of whatever and fix the problems and blah, 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 but he can't produce a budget because it's summer. I've never thought that Carney is intelligent. He doesn't speak in an intelligent way. I don't sit there and think to myself, man, this guy's really got a point and he's really driving to a point and it's coming together really well. Never. He sounds like a frigging idiot, a mumbling, stumbling idiot all the time. I've never heard him sound intelligent. Anyway, Wiretap Media says Carney government rubber stamps $73 billion with a B with no approval, no oversight, and no explanation during the several months the Liberal government prorogued and dissolved Parliament. Happy Canada Day. So Denise Batters is trying to hold these people accountable in the Senate chamber, but really, that's not the place for any of this, but it's good that she's mentioning it. Wiretap continues, despite Senator Batters attempting to convince the Trudeau independent senators to vote against Bill C-6 until there was further investigation, they passed it anyway. So they ignored her concerns and they just passed it because they don't work for the citizens. They work for the globalists who put them into that position, and their paycheck is a regular reminder of who they owe it to and who they work for, right? The Bucky Will is talking about this. This is a CTV news report. Federal deficit could average $78 billion over 4 years, a think tank warns. And Bucky Will says 2025 deficit is expected to be $92 billion. Holy cow, $92 billion, Canada's largest deficit ever. Now you know why there's no budget. Yeah, probably, right? I think that's probably accurate. Here's table salt, and the which is a C.D. Howe Institute, has done the budget for the government and added up all the spending promises and tax cuts and has determined that the government of Canada will run $310 billion in deficits over the next 4 years. Yikes. That's not so good, right? Like Brittany says, the math ain't mathing. And why haven't we seen his conflicts of interest yet? Why haven't we seen his financial statements and all the rest? It's supposed to be all open, but Carney hasn't given all that information as far as I've found yet. Kayla says, here's what the Canadian government did with the vaccine injury money set aside to help people like her. My part on Global News will air tomorrow at 5 on Global News National. Due to the fact that we have a news ban in Canada, I can't post to socials, so can only post to X, which isn't a social media app. It's a news app, I guess. I have no idea. Here is the Global News report, and Sean Hartman made it into the news report talking about vaccine injury and all of that kind of stuff. I find it interesting that 4 years on, we're now talking about this. I lost my YouTube channel for this stuff, right? And now Global News is scooping me on it? Come on, give me a break, right? Anyway, here's what's going on. At least the mainstream media is talking about it, but that draws other concerns like what's coming? What's next?
Work. I felt like I was there to kind of hang out and socialize.
This former employee, whose identity we've agreed to protect for fear of repercussions, says working at the Vaccine Injury Support Program felt like high school.
There was definitely no shortage of phones out, watching YouTube. The slushy machine was cool. Ping pong was definitely a regular thing.
The federal government hired a company called Oxaro to run the program and paid them $50.6 million. Global News spoke with more than a dozen current and former Oxaro employees, whose comments included working there was a joke, with drinking Fridays, inexperienced, underpaid staff who weren't properly trained.
I don't think anyone actually understood the severity or the relevance of the program that was being contracted to the firm.
The Vaccine Injury Support Program, or VISP, was created to provide financial support to people who are seriously and permanently injured by vaccines.
But it doesn't do that. It pays $50 million for them to have ping pong and slushy machines and drinking Fridays. So it's a waste of money meant to take control of the narrative of we take care of people who are vaccine injured. We have this whole stack of money set aside to help them, but the money isn't used to actually help them. And Lindsay, who's an RN who was vaccine injured, and she's often commenting on X, et cetera, she's involved in this case as well and is using it to further her complaints about what's going on with her. And it's quite jaw-dropping. And the problem seems so deeply ingrained in what's going on at the federal level, at the provincial level as well, that fixing it just seems so unlikely. And that's unfortunate. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that we can fix this and get things back on track. But there's so much fraud. There's so much waste. And it's hidden under, well, we had to do the payout. The city council votes to give themselves raises. They shouldn't be able to do that. It should be a different structure in order to get raises for those people. But further, those positions maybe shouldn't even be paid. Maybe the power is, maybe paying for that is not in the best interest of the citizens, right? Like you pay taxes, these people get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to run things, but what they do is they implement socialist communist policies instead. So why are we paying them? And I think that if you are unpaid, then that creates a standard that somebody who's successful can run for this, because somebody who's successful has the time to, maybe has the money or whatever to dedicate to this. This way, we've got this whole class of people whose aspiration is to become middle managers of cities and make hundreds of thousands of dollars and implement socialist policies. The other way is successful people who have made their money, presumably, and are bored in their retirement or something like that, and they want to come back and give back to their community. And I feel like the incentivizing the middle manager leeches is a really bad idea, yet we continue to do it. Here's an example of a middle manager leech who stole almost $1 million from the taxpayers of Calgary, Manitoba. Juno News is reporting. Former Manitoba Hydro CEO Jay Gruel received over $880,000 in compensation in 2024, despite working only a month and a half before being dismissed in February. So they worked 6 weeks and they got $880,000. Wow. Great gig, right? Max Bernier is talking about the deficit and the budget, and all of this wasted money we're wasting money at municipal and federal and provincial levels, at different bureaucratic waste. with between vaccine injury programs and payouts, et cetera, and we're also wasting money by sending it to Ukraine, sending it to NATO. These things don't benefit Canadians, although maybe the stuff we send to Ukraine, we spend that money in Canada for defense building or whatever. We build like Humvees or something like that in Canada, and then we export them to Ukraine, and that's all Canadian money. So it's a weird injection of money into the system rather than actually funding Ukraine. But again, that leads to my theory that this whole thing's a Ponzi scheme, and without the constant injection of printed money through this kind of job work, right? Like this kind of false job. They create this war that creates this need to create the Humvees. So they have a plant that creates the Humvees, and it's all government money funding all of it. And it just seems like a closed system, but we're supposed to accept it without questioning all of it, right? And I think the cash is being laundered out of our control and into other people's control for nothing. We don't get anything out of that. Maxime Bernier is responding to Globe Politics. NATO defense pledge will fuel higher annual deficits, averaging $77 billion, reports the Globe and Mail. And Bernier says we shouldn't bankrupt ourselves even more in order to side with the warmongers in Europe, fund Ukraine, and prepare for a totally unjustified war with Russia. If NATO is becoming an aggressive military alliance instead of a defensive one, we should reconsider our membership. Yes. Defense through strength, right? That's peace through strength. Isn't that Trump's doctrine, right? I don't know, man. The whole thing is crazy. Globe Politics says Canada should consider hiking consumption taxes to pay for defense spending. Boost, says an analyst. And I said, how about we stop funding multiple foreign wars instead? No more taxes, just stop spending money in Ukraine. How about that? So that's not likely to happen, unfortunately, but maybe in the future, not likely. In the future, they're going to want to be able to draft Canadians to go to Ukraine to fight Russia. That's the goal. That's what they want. I think probably within the next 3 to 5 years. But again, hope I'm wrong about that. Here is this guy. He's talking about the building standards for modular homes. And while this isn't budgetary, this is Brookfield, this is Carney. Carney wants to... Did you ever see Ready Player One? You know, the stacks in Ready Player One? He wants to make those real by degrading the building codes to the point where you can just stack them on top of each other and not really worry if they collapse and kill people because they had the sticker on. Okay, here's this guy.
I received an email yesterday from the Canadian Home Builders Association here in Nova Scotia. And they're letting us know that the provincial government has decided they are going to lower the building code requirements for manufactured and modular homes. So in other words, they're doing exactly what I said they were going to do. First and foremost, the provincial government has decided that homes built in a factory will be held to a different standard than homes built on site. A lower standard, a much, much lower standard. So what that means is, specifically, the homes built in these factories will no longer be required to meet the National Building Code. Instead, these buildings just have to receive a CSA sticker. So as long as the plant and factory where they're being built is CSA certified, and they would do sort of random audits and so on to make sure that they're still building these units the way they're supposed to build them. But basically, the way it's going to work is these units will not be inspected on site at all. As long as they're built by a CSA approved manufactured housing builder and they come out of a factory with a CSA sticker, they're just going to shrink wrap these little boxes, put them on a truck, send them to wherever they're sending them to, and as long as they have that sticker on the side, you're good to go. These things are going to be built to a standard that is so low, you've never seen anything like it. It's going to be insane. The other main point of the bulletin that they sent around to notify all of the home builders, this one kills me, man. I knew this was going to happen too. Remember from day one, I've been telling you that all these politicians and government officials and so on, they all stand up in front of us and they all say things like, modular homes are the answer, and we're going to build more homes, and we're going to increase this many homes, and they keep using the word homes. And I kept over in the corner, I was just screaming from my own little part of the world saying, these are not homes. This is not going to be what you're picturing. When these people say homes, that's not what you're picturing for a home. Not even close. They are also changing the language that is used. Specifically, they will not be referred to as modular homes. They will be referred to as modular or manufactured buildings. Replace the word homes with buildings. These are not homes. They're not building these things to be homes. They're building these things to be shelters, to be stacked and placed and build slums out of these little shitty boxes.
Yeah. So the government, the provincial government, the Doug Ford government in Ontario changed the definition of a home to include the beds in care homes as a home. So sometimes you can have double occupancy in a room in a retirement home. And oftentimes those people don't leave. They don't move from that place to, a 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot property somewhere in Saskatchewan or something like that. That's not happening most of the time, right? So Ford's argument was basically, this is that person's last home and it counts as a home. So we're building homes, also building beds, right? So before they used to talk about medical beds like that, care home beds as beds, now they're homes. Weird, right? Check that out. I reported on it years ago when they changed it, and it was 22, maybe 21, 22 era. Anyway, very interesting stuff, changing the name, changing the definition, and people argue black is white because they changed the definition. Juno News, moving on, is reporting the Canadian Armed Forces is extending the deadline to meet its targets for military readiness and reducing others to ensure they are realistic and achievable, according to internal reports. So they're not getting the recruitment they need. So instead of admitting they could not hit their goals, their targets, they said, well, the target deadline is now years in the future. So don't worry about not hitting those targets. We'll never hit those targets. Yay. And they can celebrate DEI and ignore their failure, right? If they redefine success, then they can ignore their failure. Unbelievable stuff. Here's Tamara Litch. This is our gob bag of governance, by the way. There's just so many things that happened. Tamara Litch is updating about her trial. She says, on the morning of Friday, June 27th, we had a brief speak to the hearing with the judge to confirm the dates for the upcoming sentencing hearing and to advise the judge that I've decided against using GLOUD. I don't know what that is. July 23rd will commence with Her Honor's ruling on Chris's stay of proceeding application. Immediately following this decision, we will use the remainder of July 23rd to begin the sentencing hearing, as well as the 24th with a spillover date held for the 25th, as our hearings tend to take longer than usual. I know Her Honor is as eager as the rest of us to bring this matter to a conclusion. I'm hopeful we will have the sentencing by mid to late August, which would put our mischief trial at 24 months. The Crown is seeking 2 years in a federal penitentiary for us, and we will be arguing a forfeiture order, to seize and destroy Big Red. So the government is very petty. They don't like the truck, so they want to destroy Chris Barber's ability to make money and feed his family. Pretty petty, if you ask me. Terrible. I don't think justice is being served by pursuing this. There are people out on bail who have done more harm to Canada than Tamara Litch and Chris Barber. Brian Lilly says, I'm against genetically modified meat, fish, poultry, etc., but if it's going to be approved for sale and human consumption, then we at least need mandatory and clear labeling. Yeah, that'd be good. So it'd be very interesting to see what's going on with that. We are being sold pigs that are immune to some respiratory thing through gene editing and genetic modification. And that's concerning because, well, that's concerning. What did they do to that pig? Will that have any kind of impact on me? Shouldn't you have a choice? Shouldn't you be able to decide if you are eating a pig that is genetically modified or not? Shouldn't you have that choice? I think probably, yeah. So it's interesting that the Canadian government is not interested in giving people that choice, and that's very, very concerning if you ask me. Here is GM Forbes, and Blacklock's reporter is reporting that Parks Canada, in confidential emails, disputed the 215 buried children story, but made no public comment after Trudeau's visit to the site to pay his respects to the graves. There were no graves. It was all a hoax, and everybody knew it, and nobody told the emperor that he was wearing no clothes. So very, very sad, a sad state of affairs. Here is Chrystia Freeland, and she says, honored to host premiers, ministers, senators, and MPs in my backyard for a barbecue last night to celebrate what we've accomplished on free trade in Canada and to build momentum to get the job done. It's wonderful to work together on free trade, labor mobility, and building major projects here in Canada. We're building a stronger Canada for everyone. So Doug Ford is there, John Chrétien's there, LeBlanc is there. Where is he? He put out a tweet talking about this too. Oh yeah, he's there right behind Doug Ford. I thought he was in a black shirt, and a bunch of other people. Now, does anybody else remember when Chrystia Freeland froze everybody's bank accounts? Because I remember that. I don't appreciate this teabagging. I think that this is showboating for people. They haven't released a budget. They haven't done anything good. These people destroyed Canada through 10 years of bad policies, bad management, all sorts of terrible things that they've done. We haven't had a functional government since October of last year, and now they want to pass censorship laws. They want to do worse, and they're celebrating. Let's have a barbecue. These people should not be celebrating. These people should not be in charge of anything. They shouldn't be in charge of trade. They shouldn't be in charge of any of the things that she's touting as wins. None of them are wins. They're all big, big losses. And Canada is worse off because of that group of people. And Chrystia Freeland is celebrating them. It's really, really interesting. Here's Mark Carney stealing somebody's food right off their plate at the Calgary Stampede. Here we go.
You gonna eat all of those? Can I have one? Yeah. Thanks. Oh, they're nice and warm. It's perfect.
So, Tokyo Rosie says he does the same thing with people's paychecks. Yep. Here's Mark Carney attempting to flip a pancake and failing absolutely miserably. Bruce says, do you think Carney has ever flipped a pancake before? He's much too forceful with it on the down flip. I don't know what's going on, but you can see the splatter on the first one. He picks this one up and it's terrible.
CP24, Prime Minister Mark Carney was up bright and early to attend the Calgary Stampede. Details ahead.
Total fail. The cameraman panned away because of the big fail. Here's another version. Oh no, here's him, Mark Carney, being booed at the Calgary Stampede when he's introduced. And not surprising.
Please welcome the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh my God, everyone's booing.
Boo. Who's the woman? Uh-oh. My computer is struggling. Sorry, my computer is struggling. Can you guys still see me? Okay, good. The woman on his arm is not his wife. That chin is not nearly strong enough to be his wife's chin. My computer is struggling, so I can't get out of this. I can't get out of this screen, which is very frustrating at this point in time. Let's see if I hit escape. Oh, that did work. Pause it. There we go.
Please welcome the Right Honourable Mark.
There we go. We're back on track now. I can hear my computer. I don't know if it's because it's hot or if it's because there are 90 tabs. Here's another video of Mark Carney failing to flip pancakes. Here we go.
Special.
Yes. Yes, you can flip that one.
I know.
No.
Oh, there you go. Oh. That's not it. That's not. I was better in Ottawa. There you go. I'm gonna do another one. I'm practicing. I got a little cocky there. But I was here.
I'll just clean it up for you.
No. I'll take responsibility. Okay. I can have that one. These are mine. I'm not making anyone eat these. Special.
He just makes us suffer through his terrible policies. So that's not great, right? Here is I'm trying to lighten the load on the system by deleting the group as well. So apologies, because that apparently creates load on the system. Sorry, everyone. 90 tabs. I knew I was flying too close to the sun. So how was everybody's week? I hope it was a good week. We'll get back to the show in just a minute as soon as my computer catches up. Apologies. Usually I'm much better than this. I'm just waiting for the computer to catch up. I've paused the regular recording at this point in time because this is just taking too long. Oh, there we go. There's movement. There we go. Now we're back. Okay. Now we're back. We're back. 30 minutes in. So today's show was named after what Ike is speaking about here, and he's talking about the totalitarian tip-toe. I talk about the liberal tap dance often, and the liberal tap dance is done in order to distract you. It's done in order to make you, like the same reason a magician does something over here, to make you look over here while he's actually doing the important thing on the other side. And so Ike describes what is going on with the totalitarian tip-toe and bringing in their policies very, very slowly in order to lull you into a false sense of security while they erect their security state around us. So here's David Icke talking about that.
It's crucial.
And I think that he lays it out pretty well. All you need to know is they want total human control. That's all you need to really know. That's what you need to take away. They want total human control, central bank digital currencies, the current collapse of all of the debt-ridden collapse of all of our Western countries. This is a plan to drive us in a certain direction, A to Z, A to Z. And if you don't want to go along with it, it doesn't matter, because even if you're a millionaire, your money is not going to be worth anything, right? So it doesn't matter. And you may protest. Oh, well, your money's not going to be any good when the new trading medium is food, right? Or something else. And so, I don't know, man, it seems very, very plausible that this totalitarian tiptoe, I've watched it tiptoe for 10 years and more, and I can see the tiptoe from 40 years ago when I was born as well. And it's very concerning, because I think that he's right. Here's some examples. This is the 2030 agenda, and I'm hoping that we'll get into invasion, but we're already 32 minutes in, and we got lots of show left, so I don't know. Anyway, 2030 agenda. Juno News is reporting Liberal Justice Minister Sean Fraser says that the federal government is interested in reintroducing the controversial Online Harms Act. I'm shocked. They want to be able to curtail anybody talking about anything they don't want them to talk about, and they want to be able to do it in a way that the public mainly cheers. And if they don't cheer, well, at least they don't care, agnostic about it. They don't give a shit one way or the other, right? Like, I don't care if anybody's censored. I got mine, Jack. And that's what they're driving for. And so they're going to say anything they need to say to get this passed. It's about the children. It's about safety. It's about your safety. It's about online harms. It's about Russia. They'll say anything. They'll say anything at all to get you on board with this. And as soon as you seem like you're interested a little bit, they'll go hell bent for leather on that. They'll say that's a real big problem. And then you'll see some false flags that reinforce your idea that this is a problem. And bingo, bango, bongo, you've got your Online Harms Act. And we won't even need, they won't even need a majority. The Conservatives will pass it with them. The Conservatives have already brought an online harms bill forward. And so if you open that door, as soon as it's open, it can be blown open all the way. But if it never gets open, then it can't be blown open all the way. But as soon as we open it a little bit, right? Online harms, just a little bit. We have a criminal code. Apply it. There you go. If somebody says something crazy online and rises to the criminal code of this is harmful because you're stalking somebody, this is harmful because you're threatening violence, this is harmful, blah, blah, because it rises to criminal code, then apply it and act. But sitting there saying, oh no, it happened on the internet, what will we do? Or those mean words should be illegal, what will we do? Then this is disingenuous. What they're doing is trying to create a parallel legal system for the internet in order to go after their political enemies, in order to maintain control. And that's what central bank digital currency is about. That's what 2030 agenda is about. That's everything. That's what they're trying to accomplish. A to Z. That's what they're trying to get to. Aaron Gunn is responding to this. This is more cultural watering down, more erasure of our culture. Some people would call that genocide. If you look up the definition of genocide, right? They're erasing our culture in order to replace it with another culture that they're importing, using our tax dollars, mind you. But Blacklock's reporter says, no more plaques for John A. Macdonald. Rules Historic Sites and Monuments Board calls Father of Confederation polarizing and controversial on issues like 19th century Chinese immigration. That's when that board is removed completely. All of the money that they were given this year for per diems, stipends, payments, etc., should be returned, and a whole new board gets put in place, and everything that they've put in place, this board has put in place, should be removed. But we won't do that. Aaron Gunn, who's an MP, says everyone on the board who voted for this should be fired. Historically illiterate, enablers of cultural Marxism, vandals of Canadian history. He's going to be removed from the party. Like, if he keeps talking like this, they're going to come in and tell him, you can't say that in this party. And then, like, maybe when Jason Kenney takes over, maybe if Pierre Poilievre loses this by-election and then Jason Kenney takes over, they'll walk in and tell Aaron Gunn, you can't say this, buddy. This is, no, you can't do that. And he's going to leave the party. So anyway, that's my prediction on that. Toronto Sun is reporting Canada's first PM too controversial for commemoration federal board rules. Yeah, so get rid of those idiots, Marxist communists. Here is CBC Watcher, and this is going back to July 2nd. And I don't actually know the outcome of this because I think that they're just going ahead with the carbon tax, EVs, and all the rest anyway. They don't care, and they want to destroy our country. So these are good vehicles to destroy our country. But here is CBC Watcher Brian Kingston, president and CEO of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association, states while heading into a meeting with Mark Carney, the EV mandate itself is not sustainable. The targets that have been established cannot be met. And that'll be part of the discussion. So they're asking him, are you asking for the EV mandates to be repealed? He was like, yeah, yes, we are.
Just here to talk about the importance of the auto sector and ensuring its continuing success.
Is the EV rebate dead? Is the EV mandate dead?
We'll be discussing EV mandates, of course, as well as a range of other policies to make sure the sector succeeds. But
do you think that's sustainable, though?
Well, the EV mandate itself is not sustainable. The targets that have been established cannot be met, and that will be part of the discussion.
What will you be asking the Prime Minister for?
I'll talk to you when I get out. Just here to talk about the importance of the auto sector and ensuring.
There you go. So he's going to make the ask. Is it going to be successful? I would say probably not. Jeffrey Rath, and I've got a robust Alberta section today as well, but Jeffrey Rath, who's leading the charge on Alberta separatism, says, here's an example, but this is in the 2030 agenda stuff. So this is just an example of what Canada's doing to align with the 2030 agenda against beef and meat. And he says, Rath says, here's an example of what's wrong with all of the NDP bureaucrats in government and in Danielle Smith's cabinet. I just received this from one of the places I purchased meat from. Just messaging to let you know that last week the government decided to effectively cancel the program that we've been supplying Highland beef to you through. They did this by placing a limit on how much beef we can sell and have set this at 3 to 4 beef per year. We did 25 last year. After our current license expires July 26th, the new limit will be in effect. This was done without a change to the regulations law, without legislative debate or oversight, and no engagement with small agricultural producers who participate in this opportunity to sell direct to Albertans. I spoke directly to Danielle Smith and RJ Sigurdsson, the agricultural minister, at the Okotoks town hall last evening. The premier looked shocked that this happened, and the AG minister told us to spend $1 million to build an abattoir, large provincial inspected slaughterhouse. If you'd like to continue to have the option of purchasing Highland beef or buying other meat products directly from farmers, the best thing to do is send an email to the agricultural minister, his chief of staff, the premier's office, and your MLA. If your friends and family would like to have the option to purchase meat directly from farmers, have them send emails too. So there you go. There's lots of concerning issues with regards to access to meat, and that's part of the 2030 agenda. They want to phase it out. They want to make it economically unviable, too expensive to raise cattle for consumption, and so they're doing everything they can to bring that to fruition. Here's an example in England, same thing. English farms could be taken out of food production to boost nature, says government minister. Plans announced by Environment Secretary mean many upland farmers may be incentivized to stop farming. We're going to buy your land at agriculture rates and sell it at development rates. This is fundamentally wrong. We reduce our food security at our own peril. Yeah, English farms could be taken out of food production to boost nature. Yes, nature. Who needs food when you've got nature? Look at all this nature. I'd really rather to have a steak. Could we have a steak? Isn't all those cows nature, right? Hanging out in the paddock or wherever they hang out. That's nature too, right? You can visit that. Just stay on this side of the fence. Ted says, pay careful attention to EU progress in taking away democracy. They're also aggressive with censorship. Exactly why Mark Carney wants to push to the EU. Partially, it's economically as well. Pushing to the EU allows Canada to build EVs and sell the EVs into the EU market. But I don't think anybody there wants to buy them either. Wiretap Media says the UK government has quietly acknowledged its involvement in global digital governance and digital ID programs led by the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. What Canadians need to know, right? So the UK government involved in pilot programs. This was from 19th of June, 2025. They were involved in pilot programs or initiatives led by the World Economic Forum or United Nations concerning digital governance, digital ID, or trust frameworks. I can confirm that the FCDO does hold information relevant to your request. For central government, the appropriate limit is set at $600. This represents the estimated cost of one or more persons spending 3.5 working days determining whether the department holds the information, locating, retrieving. Oh, okay. They're looking for the information from him. A sample set of information has been sent, but they do comply with United Nations and WEF. So scary stuff, and free speech is not free at all anymore. I saw this the other day, June 30th, and I think I reported on it, but I haven't seen any updates. Has Holly Doan got her account back yet? Blacklock's reporters saying, dear followers, our publisher Holly Doan has been locked out by X. Kindly report this or just follow us here for the same great journalism at blackrocks.ca. And so pretty crazy stuff. Again, I don't know if she's back. I hope she is. I could access her account when I clicked on this. So that may mean she has her account back, in that it's not destroyed. Like it's still a valid account, but I don't know if she's able to log into it. So pretty scary stuff. I've had my account removed multiple times. So censorship is, if you're effective, they remove your ability to be effective. Mike Benz says, the day I've warned of for 6 years and screamed about for the past 6 months is finally here. The EU's voluntary code of conduct on disinformation just became mandatory. US social media platforms will now get whipped by huge EU fines if they don't throttle what the EU calls, quote, disinformation. And so the ADF International says, today the EU takes significant step towards strengthening online censorship, transforming the code of conduct on disinformation into a mandatory part of the Digital Services Act. The DSA threatens free speech across the world and must be repealed. Yep. We'll see. We'll see if it is repealed, because it seems like they're going to go all the way. They're going to go all the way with this. Here's Andy Lee, and she says they were going to go all the way with COVID, but we said no. And so they couldn't force us. And all we have to do is say no, and they can't force us with central bank digital currencies, but they will saber rattle. They will bring us to the brink of nuclear whatever. And it will be like the worst thing that could possibly happen. North Korea and Iran are going to nuke you in your bed while you sleep, mushroom clouds, all sorts of stuff. But all we have to do is say, no, I don't believe you, and no. And they will lose their power, because their power comes from our fear of the things they're selling us. And they sell us the solution, right? Andy Lee says, how far was the Public Health Agency of Canada willing to descend into bioauthoritarianism using ArriveCan? All the way. Future app versions were to use biometrics, which is face pictures, facial recognition, have enhanced integration with COVID test centers and quarantine management systems. They wanted to throw people in the medical gulag and then kill them and say, oh man, it's a shame when people die of illness. COVID's terrible. While they were murdering people. Kate says the digital ID system isn't just about tracking you, it's about owning you. Coming soon or already here. So here's Keir Starmer talking about Keir Starmer unveils Labour's 10-year National Health Service plan. It will become, as technology develops, like having a doctor in your pocket, providing you with 24 hours of advice 7 days a week. A bold vision for a digital NHS. I don't want my, quote, doctor to have 24/7 access to me and say, oh, Mark, you're getting sick. I'm getting sick. Yes, you're getting sick. It's going to be terrible. You're going to be really, really sick. The power of suggestion is a big thing. And the AI tells you just what you want to hear. If you tell it a bunch of stuff and you're like, hey, AI, I think, this girl really likes me, and these are the reasons that I think that she likes me, and blah, 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 blah. And these are the things that I've done, and blah, 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 blah. And the AI will tell you what you want to hear. The AI is not going, it's a learning thing. It learns what you want to hear, and then it'll give you that. So I see all these people saying, oh, AI, tell me what the future holds. And it's like, it's going to tell you what you've told it. I don't understand why this is. So the AI will tell you what it's programmed to and what you want to hear. Anyway, coming soon or already here. If the AI has access to your health and can influence you more broadly. So you're like, hey, AI, what's the weather today and how healthy am I? You're 78% healthy, Mark, just like yesterday, blah, 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 blah. Here's your list of maladies, and here's the other thing. Oh, and we've noticed a limp. We'll pay attention to that too. Now, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have a limp? Am I limping? Oh my gosh. Right? Like, no, the AI is just suggesting these things. Like, holy cow, dude. Like, we can be manipulated in a fine-tuned way with the AI. Anyway, back to this. So your body being linked up to a central system tracking your vital signs, tumor markers, enzyme levels, blood chemistry, hematology, and more. Are you going to say the AI is wrong, right? Like this AI that's in everybody, right? Tracking your blood, tracking your this, tracking that. Oh my gosh, the AI saved my grandpa. He had cancer and the AI detected it early and now he's healthy and he's got 10 extra years or something like that. They'll promote this stuff as a cure-all. And if, just like in Gattaca, if you're not part of this group, you're going to die. Like you're going to die yesterday. You're going to die so soon. It's going to be just terrible. And so like they will promote this as a way to really drive this home. And then when they've got you, they can do anything they want with you. You're like, oh, 60, you're looking real tired, Mark. You're looking real tired. Are you feeling like you need to go check out some maid, right? 61, you're looking even more tired. I'm not dead yet, right? Like, oh my gosh, bring out your dead. This is a modern version of that. It's crazy. Anyway, sound convenient. Think again, because once they can monitor you remotely, they can intervene without consent, all under the guise of healthcare. Imagine this. You're walking down the street. They detect a medical emergency. You're picked up by paramedics. No questions, no consent. You're sick, Mark. You're sick. Get in the van. No, I feel fine. Well, you're going to be sick any minute. You're going to die. Get in the van. Okay. Or they just take you, right? Your medical emergency. Now you're getting 1 milligram of adrenaline into your leg every 3 minutes via military grade some gun supplied by Teva Pharmaceuticals, the same adrenaline used in the Paramedic 2 and Paramedic 3 trials. One French study showed that after the third dose, adrenaline can destroy the brain, but they can legally give you up to 10 doses, no matter your size, 100-pound woman or 250-pound man. And once they've destroyed your brain, declare you brain dead, which is, look into that because that's interesting. Switch off your life support and harvest your organs. You can't harvest organs from a dead person. Once you die, those organs are dead and they can't be used anywhere else, right? So, scary stuff. The digital ID is the infrastructure. The smart healthcare is the weapon. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. We just have to say no. Basil the Great says the UK government changes MP roles. Originally, it said MPs must represent the interests and concerns of the public. Now it says MPs have no job description. Why do they want our elected representatives to not represent us? I don't know, but it's not good. It's not good. Okay, I've got to say goodbye to the stream. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I'm glad to be back. And there won't be a kitchen table talk today. It's because it's the summer and I'm super busy. I'm super busy today. It's crazy. But I'm excited to do the rest of the show. So thanks for watching on the stream.